Better felt than told. It could be a summary of the whole experience. Words will never be enough to express my gratitude to Stuart Marshall and to the town itself for giving me such a wonderful privilege. When Stuart first told me in the kitchen of my house in Trinity Manse, my face froze in the expression of someone who's just seen a Tyrannosaurus Rex step into his back garden and completely flatten his prize Aquilegia. And it still feels like a dream, 6 years on. And while most memories are perishable, some leave a very deep mark, and two have done for me in particular. Firstly, better felt than telt was never more felt than on the drive around the town on the Friday, emotions I didn't see coming or understand. When a rolling montage of folk are smiling and waving in your direction, it brings a lump to your throat. Perhaps a psychologist would be in a better position to tell exactly what it meant that was being felt at that point. Secondly, most common writings are largely forgotten or ingested into that collective memory of sun-drenched mayors and contemporary fashions. But in 2015, there was a dubious claim for a particular memory. The gale force winds on the Saturday were of tree uprooting and Portaloo falling strength. Moreover, the cold meant that the cornet's fingers had to be prized and unfastened one by frozen one from their protective grip upon the banner. And up in the Mare that afternoon, it was like a scene from that film Carry 'Em Up the Khyber. You know, the one where everything is falling round about the guests at the dinner party, but that's no reason not to decant and to serve the port. So while folk were lashing themselves to their Vauxhall courses and one man was trying to hammer in his windbreak before it took off for Finland, the gathering in the acting father's tent kept singing defiantly above the din, while many ladies, like Dorothy trapped in Oz, clicked their stiletto heels together and implored, "There's no place like home, there's no place like home." And that's the fact of it. There is no place quite like this. And as homes go, there couldn't be any place better. And if truth be told, there's nowhere I'd rather be, every June.
Mr. Chairman, Provost Marshall, ken you're no provost anymore, but you were at the time. And by the way, we called us at approximately 3.5 minutes past 9 on a September morning in 2015 and asked us if I would accept his invitation to be the chief guest at the following common riding, and as a consequence bestowed on me the greatest honour I've ever had, and ever likely to have. His lady wife, Mrs. Provost, Doreen Marshall, 1963 Cornet, Master of Ceremonies and Chief Lipstick Taster, John Hope, and his wife Lil, who all looked after Pam and me for the duration of that time when I was handed the keys of the kingdom. Lil is the quickest witted woman I've ever met. After the handing back of the flag in the council chamber on the Saturday after that dreaded tune was played, that tune Chugger never wants to hear, and just before we were leaving the town hall, I had a very understandable, sincere, heartfelt and highly emotional breakdown, a moment to call it now, and Lil announced to everybody present that Davy wasn't greeting at all. He was just sweating out his eyeballs. And all you good people, I bring ways the greetings of your kindred spirits for these March. We hope you're all bearing up in these testing times. And please rest assured that we're desperate to once again come amongst you as your true born border brothers and sisters. We've been asked to reflect on the highlights of outcoming writing, obviously 2016 for me and Pam. But there's some money that the hour and a half that Ian Landau says I'm limited to makes it very near impossible to do it justice at all. But he did suggest that we'll imagine something that's perfect, just perfect, then prepare to experience something even better. I asked Acting Father Henry Douglas, BEM, how did he manage the nerves, and he said Just look down to your left when you're on the stage at the colour busting, Davy, and there'll be a big fella there smiling at you, and he'll give you a nod and a wink. And from there on, you'll be absolutely fine. Sadly, Mother Nature intervened, and that big hero of mine wasn't there in person. But I felt him there in spirit, every single step of the way. And when I did look down, there in this place was a wee fella in bodily stature, but Ian Anderson for the Cornets band displayed a muckle great smile, and that settled us down. That to me is the effect Hawick folk, Yowged Hawick folk have on people, not just in the town, but further afield and indeed around the world. I've spoke at hundreds of dinners and events, but never before have I been asked to speak immediately after hearing young Sally Thomas sing The Whale of Flodden, or been followed by Elliot Goldie, who was standing that far back for a microphone I thought he was halfway home to the Sussex Goldie's house. And if you're no stirred with the pride and passion when you hear Hawick folk sing at their own common riding, you're missing out on a wonder of the world. The atmosphere in the hut, that timber tabernacle where the roof lifts off every time a speaker speaks or a singer sings. I rose at the colour bus and I could see hundreds of folk down below on the ground. No on the ground, just sitting on the ground floor. Some who would be on horseback the very next morning. Some who would become foot soldiers. And then up the stairs in the gallery was the modern day representation of the greatest mounted force ever assembled, the Border Horsemen. To see the pride in my father's face, and I'm no spring chicken. My son sitting aside him, and because my mother couldn't be there, she'd have shouted up that I was to tuck my shirt tail in or something like that, and she'd probably be right. But yow folk were kind enough to permit me to invite the best friend she'd ever had, Siún Hardy, we bid alongside us at 6 Mansfield Crescent. My highlights, the friendships made, friendships strengthened, your hospitality, which prompted Pam to say that if the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh was in our place, they could not possibly have been treated any better than what we were. What stood out was how he cared for everybody, no exclusions, young, old, men, women, and even gala-born want-to-be tearies, of which I am but yin. He celebrate the present while at the same time he commemorate the past. But I with an eye looking for it to future-proof Hawick and its common riding. Nobody ever says to Hawick, lest he forget, because you never do forget. It's about traditions, keeping the teaching of the generations gone, how they came to be there, which I saw he deliver firsthand. He inspired hundreds of bairns by encouraging their participation, and to allow Pam and Mike to play a wee part in that alongside what every chief guest will say was the bestest ever top 8, and every chief guest will be right, places the two of us in your debt forever. I would like to have finished with a story or an anecdote about the big closure or big week, what we planned on the Saturday night, but there was a bit of a blip in the proceedings. We went back to the hotel about 6, got a bite to eat, glass of wine, and what with me doing my best to be on my very bestest behaviour all week. And no get leathered, no to miss anything. I had a cup of council tea. We laid down in the bed to catch a breath, only to wake up about 9 the next morning fully clothed, the telly on, the lights on, the windows wide open. So there was nothing else to do but gather our stuff together and go away back to Duns, the happiest we have ever been. By the way, it took us to mid-October to get Pam to stop waving at folk for the car. Shopping at Tesco in Berwick, and she's waving to everybody out the window. I'd like to thank you for the memories. 100,000 million thanks. And till we meet again, friends, thank you.